Yo, 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 what's going on, everybody? Welcome back out to the Cleveland Pulse YouTube channel. We really appreciate you jumping on board for another one of our videos. As you can see, Logan is back. It's Tuesday, and it's Cavs Encapsulated number 2. Out of 2, and it worked out perfect because we are through another 4 games. So we are 2-2 the last time we did this. Now we're 4-4. There's a couple of sports teams that are 4-4 in the city. We're not going to name names, but I think it's interesting. Or just off the top, before I get into introducing everybody and getting their thoughts of the first 8 games, what's very encouraging to me is that we're probably better than 4-4. We probably could have had a 5th or 6th win, and we just came through a grueling, road trip that we were 3-2 on. So that's a very good sign for the Cavaliers. Justin, just any opening general thoughts for this team through 8 games?
Jeff, I'm gonna actually hold my thoughts for later, but I'm gonna
Okay.
hit us off with a little bit of a milestone. Logan, Jeff, we have the honor of doing this video after having 300 subscribers. We are currently at 300 subscribers. Big accomplishment for us. I'm very happy for all 3 of us. Logan, you are now a part of this, so I'm very happy to have you here. Jeff and I have been doing it.
You guys built it.
Yeah, we've been,
someone's unsubscribing right now.
Well, hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully we have more people subscribing, like we said. But I'm just very happy that we're all here and that we've been doing this for as long as we have and the success we've seen. So that's my general thoughts for right now, and I'll leave the Cavs stuff for Logan to finish up right now.
Well, let's talk. That 5-game road trip, you didn't have Isaac Okoro. You had to play some interesting rotations. Now you're going to be down Kevin Love for a little while. But what I noticed more than anything about the Cavaliers, I said it in episode 1 of Cavs Encapsulated, is that this team doesn't really fold. Now they do blow leads, and they've blown leads quite a bit, not only last night in Charlotte, but throughout that 5 games. I think they really started blowing it. It seems like they almost play better when they're behind and trying to make up ground, which is something that they'll figure out. Young teams tend to struggle to close games. We saw the experienced Lakers put that away because they have, the guys and the people in their arsenal to put away close games. But I think all in all, 4-4, you're competing with some of the better teams in the Western Conference, an upper start in the Charlotte Hornets in the Eastern Conference, walk away 4-4. Battle wounds to show, but a good record as well.
Definitely. It's a good point you bring up Isaac Okoro, because he was somebody who we were really looking toward in the first 4 games to come off the bench and give us that 6th man energy. Now you have Kevin Love, who's played actually 1 good game out of the 7 that he's played. So that's been a surprise. I'm not sure about that situation totally, Logan. Have you heard about, I saw indefinitely. Is this a COVID related issue?
Yeah. It is a COVID-related issue. I was kind of surprised that it says several games.
Right.
I don't know what the definition of several. Everyone has a different definition of that. I think the Cavaliers could use him sooner than later, certainly, mainly just as the guy that is in the locker room and the one that has been the longest tenured Cavalier on the team. I think more than anything, that's the main reason you're missing Kevin Love. But yeah, he was just starting to get in a flow, right? He had just found his role. He was getting a couple of doubles even off the bench. Whether he was shooting well from the field, that's something to talk about, certainly. But I still think he's way more effective than he's been probably in the last 2 years as a Cavalier in this new role. And now my worry is that him being out several games, is that going to ruin the rhythm he was building? Is it going to ruin the season he was having? Maybe not. He is a pro at the end of the day. He's a veteran. So now we just have to wait and see what this entails for the Cavaliers' depth moving forward.
Yeah, and Logan, you talking about the depth right now. We were talking about, who played in replacement for Isaac Okoro through text messages. And, Kevin Love last night, he doesn't play. This is his first game out. And the rotation doesn't add another player. It just uses 3 players off the bench, which I found super surprising. Was that because of how poorly other bench players have played since, being added to the rotation in the past 4 games?
Well, I laughed a second ago, Justin, because I know in that text exchange, I had a few things to say about Lamar Stevens getting
Yeah.
extended minutes for the Cavaliers. I mean, the guy couldn't buy a layup at the late in
Right.
LA. I like him in defensive spurts for sure.
Yeah.
I think he's not a terrible. I think he actually gets to his spot pretty well. He just doesn't know how to finish, at least right now. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. You have to figure out a few things. I thought it was weird that Jetty really didn't play against the Lakers. I didn't hear that he was inactive. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I mean, Jetty's really found a really nice role, and I guess that's the thing, Justin. My answer would be to you is with Kevin Love out, it's going to allow guys to get going, like Jetty, who I think is actually a very quality piece off our bench. I think he can really learn to just spot up and shoot and play defense. 3-and-D kind of guy. I mean, yesterday in Charlotte, he was massive, 4 or 5, I believe, from deep, if I'm not mistaken, because I think he missed one thing with the shot clock towards the end of the game. Yeah, I think when you're down, or when you have all your guys, that's when you tend to shorten your bench. It does seem like JB's kind of doing the opposite, but I think he's also doing a decent job at finding the right lineups. I mentioned that Lakers game. I think coaching was ultimately to blame, along with a literal lid on the rim from 3:30 on in the third quarter. But I think JB, as we mentioned, is still figuring it out. I think I heard even on NBA on TNT, I don't remember who said, I think it might have been Kenny Smith. He said 15 games in is kind of where you find out how good of a team you're going to be in the season. So I think there's still plenty of time. I think it's a pretty fair assessment too. So then again, I think we're like 7 and 8 last year through 15 games. We saw how that finished. But yeah, it's still things to figure out. It's still early in the season. So I guess for me, I haven't looked too deep into how we will adjust down Love, and I don't know how much longer for Okoro.
So really diving into this game last night in Charlotte, which we do try to talk about all the games that have happened since the last time we've recorded, but this game in Charlotte really did seem like a nice signature win, 8 games into the season. Every starter with 16 points being the lowest for the starter. So 16 for Garland, 17 or Mobley had 15, 15 Mobley, 16 Garland, 17 Sexton, Markkanen with 21 big points, and Jarrett Allen with 24. And like you said, Logan, Cedi Osman off the bench, 4 for 5 from 3. And they were like big threes.
Oh,
Charlotte was making runs, and Cedi was subbing, and he knocked down, I believe, 2 like in back-to-back possessions. His shot looks much improved from prior years. But I agree with you. I did not watch the entirety of the Lakers game, and I did not catch any of the Phoenix game. But I think that looking at the minutes played, was probably the best game that JB has coached. It's a lot of minutes for some guys, 40 minutes for Mobley. I'm not a huge fan of all year long, but I think in the NBA I think this Cavs team is trying to do the opposite of what the NBA is looking to do. You see the NBA with, small guards that shoot threes, and all analytics don't take twos, and with load management. And last night, JB basically said he rode the starters from like almost 7 minutes or 8 minutes into that third quarter, because he knew that they played so well in the first quarter, and then the second quarter kind of slipped away from them. But you could really tell that there's some lineups that he puts together that just perform better than others. I thought Dean Wade was interesting last night. I think that's your replacement for Kevin Love in the short term. And then
did what he had to do.
Ricky Rubio with 25 minutes off the bench as well. So there's so many options for Bickerstaff that it's kind of like, but when you see us lose, like to the Lakers and to Phoenix, I believe, I'll go right on Twitter. I didn't catch any of the Phoenix game. JB sucks. Like I could tell, like, I feel like the Cleveland Cavs fans on Twitter, like, I feel like they are actually pretty logical. Like when we lose, it's like, why are people sitting down the stretch? And do you have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, first off, I mean, JB Bickerstaff, you mentioned him playing Mobley 40 minutes. It's obvious last year he doesn't worry about playing the young guys that many minutes. Isaac Okoro led all rookies in minutes played.
Yep.
But when you look at that Lakers game, Evan Mobley had his best game as a pro. 23 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. Garland 18 and 11. Those two guys are a fantastic duo. Yeah. I think Justin and I actually talked about it in the summer league, how Mobley looked like he has so much potential, but he doesn't have a real point guard to get him the ball, a real guard. He had Jalen hands. And I mean, it's just also your first play of NBA basketball. Now that he has Garland, you can tell the rhythm is there. You can tell Garland's always looking for him. And they had just spurts in that Lakers game where I was like, these guys can't be stopped. This little 2-man game is really, really fun to watch. Rubio 18, 6 and 4. 28 assists. They showed also the thing that I noticed, and I think we noticed it a few times last year. They showed that their speed can win games. Lakers, oldest team in the NBA, they were blowing by them in that first half. But, what comes down to is it's frustrating because that was a winnable game. Yeah. I think in the second half, Sexton, he was pretty atrocious. He was very sloppy. 2 of 9 for the game. Markkanen started as a marksman, finished as a non-factor. Melo hit timely shots for the Lakers. Lakers went on that 14-0 run in the third quarter, extending into the fourth quarter. Veterans know how to close. I think they learned a lot of lessons in that Lakers game, certainly. So I guess that's my first impressions, of that Lakers game. Suns game, I didn't get to watch much of. I was enjoying myself on Halloween for sure. I saw we got out to an early lead in the first quarter, but when I saw some highlights, I think it just probably was our worst played game of the season overall, but we lost by 9 points to the reigning Western Conference champion. So I think at the end of the day, you can't hold too much against them. 39% from the field, you're just not going to win many ball games that way. In those situations, or in the Suns game, I didn't get to see JB Bickerstaff's coaching methods, but I think at the end of the day, that's an encouraging sight to see. But I want to talk a little more about Charlotte, guys, because I think that game is the perfect game for a young team. You're talking about, and I wrote this down, you were talking about a game where you had leads, you blew leads, you were shorthanded, and you had to make free throws in the clutch. Shorthanded, guys came in and overall did their job. Had leads, certainly did that. Blew leads, 100% did that. Had to make free throws, we didn't make free throws. We came out with a win. But I think that's going to tell you as a Cavalier, 17 points in the fourth quarter, sometimes you're not going to be so lucky to hold on to that. So I think that was a good lesson overall and a good game just to get that experience for a young team.
Yeah, Logan, you're talking about missing the free throws. Cavs 26 of 38 last night for a 68 percentage. Obviously, you have guys that, your bigger guys are typically going to be the guys that miss the free throws. However, late in the game, Garland getting the ball makes 3 of his 4. However, I'm sure we all were very anxious when he missed the one at the end there. Just because, you watch LaMelo Ball, and thank goodness LaMelo Ball fouls out, and they only had about a second and 2 left on the board. It's huge that, this is a young team. They need to improve in the free throw department, because getting to the line 36 times or 38 times, that's fantastic. However, you should be around that 70 and above percentage if you're going to be shooting that many free throws, because that's just 3 points. And then in terms of, talking about the leads, I think that in the past 4 games, they've had leads starting in the first quarter of every game and then just completely blowing them. So, a point that I was just trying to make with, in the text messages yesterday is that they got to learn to, if they're going to get off to these hot starts, Bickerstaff's got to have rotations that can go in there. And obviously with Okoro and Love being out, it's hard to have defenses stout defenses turn into the game. But you got to be able to hold teams to even from that point on, instead of just losing the point department in every other quarter besides the first.
Yeah, I thought that actually, I think they played 3 pretty good quarters of defense against the second-ranked offense in the NBA last night. I think the fourth quarter was pretty pathetic. And it let Terry Rozier get going. And that guy just seems to be a thorn in the side of all Cleveland fans every time we play him. But yeah, I thought overall, I think they were still very scrappy last night. I just think down the stretch, they took way too many gambles. And why are you taking gambles when you're up 17 points? I think they're trying to run at guys on the line. They're getting by and finding new opportunities on the wings. So, I don't know. That's just a random thought I was thinking of the second ranked offense did an okay job overall against Charlotte.
Yeah. The growth for me so far, because this is the second time we played Charlotte and we lost to them the first time, but I think you saw this with LeBron, and then you look at the Phoenix box score, and Devin Booker has 27. Mm-hmm. And LaMelo Ball had a bigger game earlier in the year, but last night the other team is playing hero ball. It's basically LaMelo Ball and a little bit of Terry Rozier down the stretch. versus the whole Cavs roster. And we're not necessarily playing like that. We're playing a more balanced, fluid game of basketball, specifically on the offensive side. I think it's very tough to drive interior on our big men, obviously. So if you can't shoot from, distance and even that mid-range, it's very tough to score on us. Even Charlotte, I believe, way under their average points per game with 110 last night. I may be wrong on that, but I think that they were averaging closer to 120 coming into the contest. But it's like, I'd rather play as a team sport. And you see it in people's numbers. Colin Sexton, he's the lead scorer with 17, 18 points a game. Like, that's perfect for me. We don't need one guy taking 15 to 20 shots a game. It's really not necessary at all. I think it's a good composition of players. And it really gives an opportunity to find out, in the first quarter, who's going to be hot. Some games feel like it's Lowry out the gate, and in other games,
Right.
you see Darius Garland maybe heat up in the first quarter. And last night it was basically Lob City in the first quarter against Charlotte.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Jared Allen, we talked about it, guys, and Justin, I mean, if you want to touch on this for sure, Jared Allen played honestly, I think probably his best game as a Cavalier. I think he's had games where he's had better stats, but I think they're more empty. When I talk about getting a win, coming up with big blocks, he even hit 2 big free throws late. And I mean, 6 dunks in the first half, I think is what the number was. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was dominant last night.
Yeah, the chemistry is fantastic between for me, it's 3 guys on this team that have great chemistry, and we already hit on Garland and Mobley, but Jared Allen too. I mean, between Jared Allen and Evan Mobley being able to give each other, enough space to work into their sweet spots and everything, they've been fantastic, and they've been, doing great things. Jeff, you made the point about, Sexton leading the team with 17 points, but there are 5 players that are 1 point within one another of our next leading scorers, all sitting at 13 to 12 points. I think this team has really figured out that, Sexton can get buckets, in a hurry, but the team efficiency really comes from when we're sharing the ball and we're getting the job done, passing it well enough between, our 2 big guys, and then Garland and Rubio just being the facilitators that they are.
All right, so the good thoughts. We're gonna take a quick intermission for some jersey talk. I think that we're gonna try to keep it, little bit loose today on Cavs Encapsulated, and these were released over the weekend, I believe. So I'm not really sure about the NBA when they started doing this. I believe maybe 2019 they started doing City Edition jerseys.
So.
Maybe earlier. I really don't know. It seems like every team gets a new jersey every year.
When Nike took over is when it started doing that.
So that's pretty interesting to me. But we have these guys. This is from Twitter. A little definitely a throwback up top, and then I don't know if you guys could see on the bottom right, but nice little send off to the 2016 NBA Finals.
That. I didn't even notice.
That's on the court as well. That is on the court as well. We're getting a new court, so I thought that was really cool. Might be a Christmas gift to myself when they drop the Evan Mobley one of these in the team shop.
Yeah, I mean, they're pretty. I mean, I don't know. I think we talked earlier. I don't know how to feel about red on red, but I guess now that I'm looking at it again, the block letters of Cleveland Cavaliers, I think really does actually make it a really well balanced jersey. I like just the hidden pockets of white in there that really kind of tie it all together. That third color, so vital and so important. Yeah, I mean, I think those are slick. I think they're probably the best City Edition jerseys we've had. I've always liked the Script Clee blue ones a couple of years ago, but we also talked about that before. It just was kind of a funky looking script. But I mean, I think the Cavaliers, more than anything, they got it right this year with the City Edition uniforms.
Yeah, I like them too. Honestly, like you said, Logan, I was a fan of the 2019 ones just because they had a little bit of that like rainbow color going on the sides, and they're blue. Yeah, it was very nice. But these ones, like Jeff said, are a throwback. I didn't even notice that 2016 stuff down by the down there and everything. But
nice little troll.
Yeah, maybe that's what they're trying to do with the whole "let them know" thing. I mean, that's way in the past, but I mean, what I guess we'll put it on the jersey too. Why not? But I believe that they also put on the opposite side of the Nike logo, they have the Goodyear logo. I don't know if that's for sure or not. I think that's I don't know about this picture in total, but I could have sworn I saw it before. But overall, I'm really happy with it. Jeff's going to get the Mobley one. I'm probably going to get the Garland one, seeing as those are, our two cornerstones as of right now. Maybe Logan will have to get the Jared Allen one and complete the trio for us.
I mean, he's one of the best big men in the league, guys. I'm not even kidding when I say that. I that's what's fun to say. I think we have a top 5 positional player on our team. I don't know if that's a hot take, but I mean, when you think about true centers, I'm not talking a power forward who plays center, true centers. He's one of the best in the game.
Absolutely.
So before, I think we covered most of what we wanted to cover. I think that before we send it off, I would like to hear, I'll start with Justin, but I don't know. When I put Justin on the hot seat, sometimes he has to pass it off. But we have that ability though. So moving forward with this team, let's just say for the next 4 games, before the next time we record this, what is the one thing that you would like to see improved upon?
I would like to see someone other than Chetty and Laurie be a 3-point sharpshooter. I think it's too often, and maybe I guess Love when he's out there, I think it's too often we see our guards, Garland and Sexton taking threes and just always consistently missing. It's been the one thing that I've always kind of complained about with this team since Garland has come on. We just don't have a 3-point sharpshooter, and obviously Laurie is there and Chetty now has developed into it, but I would like to see Garland, Mobley even, and Sexton improve in that 3-point department and efficiency at least.
Definitely, for sure. Logan, thoughts?
Yeah, the game we didn't really cover much on this podcast was that Clippers game. I think that was a 48-minute win. So I think in the next 4, I'd like to see another 48-minute win where there isn't a big lead that's blown, where there isn't guys underperforming or guys turning over the basketball, not executing in the fourth quarter when it's winning time. I think I'd like to see another 48 minutes because I thought that Clippers game a lot of fun to watch. First time the Cavaliers have beaten LA since 2017 when LeBron was here. They sustained every mini Clips run, but I don't think they ever got closer than 6 or 8. They held Paul George to just 12 points, 6 of 20 from the court. I mean, Paul George has a history of absolutely torching us. And we had just 12 assists in that game. We shot 3 of 20 from downtown, yet we got everything else doing right. I mean, right? I think it was 23 of 27 at the free throw line. That's a big number. I think that's something I really want to see us do better at. Out-rebounded the Clippers 57-36. That's domination, especially when you're not having your best game from a passing standpoint, from a shooting standpoint, like Justin had just mentioned. A 48-minute effort against a little bit of adversity would be a lot of fun to see in the next 4.
2 great points. For me, it's really what I saw last night, because that's just the freshest game in my memory, is that you see in the first quarter, we start off so fresh and so fast that it's almost like we need to figure it out. And this is going to be a JB talking point as well, I assume, in the locker room. It's almost to the point where we accelerate so fast. There was stretches where we couldn't get out of that headspace, and it was costing us. In transition, we were turning the ball over and we were playing sloppy with the basketball, trying to play 1,000 miles an hour once. And you see teams, good head coaches are going to call timeouts during a big run. JB Bickerstaff has honestly done a pretty decent job of that so far. So when you see the opposing team, call a timeout or try to set up their half court sets, and we're playing a little bit reckless, which I'd rather play aggressive than not, but I'd rather play aggressive than reckless. So it's almost like finding that second gear where we have the tools to set up a half-court offense along with speeding up the game with a team like the Charlotte Hornets. But
absolutely.
Go ahead, Justin.
Just wanted to make a point that the next time we will be meeting, we will only have played 3 games. They have a weird little schedule going on where they're coming home for the next game, and then they play 2 on the road. But after that, we'll get another 4-game stint before we meat again. So just wanted to make that really quick.
I thought we had this down to a science, man.
Almost.
We're so scientific. Well, Justin, Logan, appreciate you guys hopping on with us. I know it's always a pleasure. I know we always have fun, and we appreciate you guys for staying around for this long. I hope that you enjoy the long form conversation around the Cleveland Cavaliers, and I hope it's as interesting all year long, if not better, to talk about, one of the 3 sports teams that resides in the city of Cleveland. So
Mhm.
like Justin always says, make sure you subscribe, make sure you drop a like and comment down below. How are you feeling about the Cavs through 8 games in this young NBA season? And with that being said, we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.